Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And this is my interpretation of what it looks like to have your natal moon in the nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So before we get into this, we first have to understand what the moon represents, and then we have to break down this nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada. Just a quick disclaimer that this is not according to Western tropical astrology. This will be according to Vedic astrology, which is using the sidereal zodiac. So if you are not familiar with what your sidereal moon sign is, there's a link to a calculator down below in the description so that you have the correct information. The moon is one of the most important grahas in Vedic astrology. The moon is representing your mind. Therefore, the moon represents everything that is happening within your life. The moon is a reflector. It is a projector. Everything that is in your mind becomes a manifestation within your physical reality. In the same way, you are perceiving everything that is happening within your reality. So the moon is projecting what is in your mind and is reflecting everything within your reality. The moon represents your body, your health, your vitality, how you are interacting with others. When people are coming across you and you are making connections, this is the personality that is coming forward. The moon represents your social standings, how you fit into society, how you're able to adapt and relate to others. The moon is also popularity and beauty. The moon is representing the mother, your connection to your mother, what kind of nurturing you need emotionally, what is making you feel emotionally satisfied. The moon is also representing all of the fluid in your body. So it is connected to your water intake. It is connected to your nourishment, all of your needs that need to be met. The moon is a very personal planet that has to do with your emotions, how you react, and how you are responding to situations around you. So, Uttara Bhadrapada can be found from 3 degrees 20 minutes till 16 degrees 40 minutes of Pisces. This is very similar to our previous nakshatra of Purva Bhadrapada, as these two nakshatras form a bed or a cot, which is the funeral cot. And so this is all about the transitioning out of this material existence and moving towards a higher state of consciousness. And so this is the deathbed. This is the latter part of this deathbed. So these are the back legs of the bed. This is all about stabilizing this foundation towards our spiritual enlightenment. And Uttara Bhadrapada is referred to as the warrior star. So this is a nakshatra that is all about protecting, defending, selflessly serving. These are individuals who have a great deal of compassion, who are all about the upliftment of humanity. So this is a very protective nakshatra with this warrior quality to it. And this is falling under the warrior caste. So especially this is all about protecting. It is all about caring. It is all about helping humanity at large. This is also the latter lucky feet or the ray of light. Again, the Purva part of this was the farmer lucky feet. And the ray of light is a name that is given to both of these nakshatras, as this is a single ray of light, a single strand of hope, this light that is in the dark, that is illuminating what is hidden. And so this is a very mystical nakshatra. Both of these nakshatras of the Purva Bhadra and the Uttara Bhadra are very confusing. They're very complex, as they are very mysterious and very much spiritual in nature. These are nakshatras that are all about our journey into spiritual enlightenment, which requires liberation. And so there is a huge lesson found in this nakshatra that is all about letting go, that is all about letting go of your attachments, which is a very difficult lesson that is found here under Uttara Bhadrapada, as this is a fixed nakshatra with the goal of finding stability in life. So these are people who often cling on to their material possessions, who cling on to their attachments. These are people who can get stuck in relationships and in attachments that are no longer serving them. So there is a great lesson here of letting go, of allowing yourself to let go of these toxic and negative attachments that are holding you back. This is a nakshatra that definitely holds a ton of weight. There is a strong difference between the last nakshatra and this nakshatra, as the last one related to the fire element, where there was a ton of intensity there. Here, this is related to the water, and so there's a depth that is here in this Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra. These are individuals who are very deep thinkers, who have profound insight and wisdom. These are the old souls of the zodiac. And with this comes a ton of weight, of pressure. Think about being at the bottom of the ocean. These are people who hold on to a lot of intense emotion that is difficult to work through. And so these are people who often hold the weight of the world on their shoulders, who are self-sacrificing, who are compassionate and giving. But there's a tendency to hold on to things and to get stuck. This is an energy that can become very lethargic. There is a tendency to go into depression, to get into a state of a lack of motivation, of not being able to move, getting stuck in this deep emotion here in this nakshatra. And so there's definitely a need to let go. There is a need to find a way to get this energy moving. This is a nakshatra that should strive towards getting outside of their comfort zone, as there is an ability to get stuck, to get trapped here. These are people who can spend a lot of time in isolation and need time to themselves to reflect. This is a part of their deep spiritual evolution. There's profound insight that is accessed while going into silence, going into deep reflection, going into isolation that is found within this nakshatra. And these are individuals who can understand knowledge that others are not able to. The deity of this nakshatra is Ahira, which is the serpent from the depths, the cloud serpent. This heavenly serpent that is related to Shiva. This is actually a form of Rudra. And so Rudra is the destruction deity. And this Ahira is a deity that is all about this deep space, this in-between space, in between the heavens and the earth. So this bridge between the physical and the spiritual is very strong here in this nakshatra. These are people who are able to access spiritual powers, who are able to access profound intuition and insights. And what we can see in this nakshatra is that this is where Mercury gets debilitated. So Mercury is that logical planet that is all about collecting information and developing skills in the practical world. Here, Mercury is debilitated, so the knowledge that is coming from this nakshatra is not coming from Mercury. This is falling in Jupiter's home of Pisces. And so this is all to do with philosophical wisdom, intuitive knowledge. This insight is coming from the heart space. And so this is a nakshatra that has everything to do with love, compassion, unity. It is this connection to the world. And these are individuals who can be very sensitive to the world in general. They are able to pick up on vibrations around them, able to connect with others on a deeply profound level. And this can become very overwhelming, which is another reason why this nakshatra is needing a ton of isolation. These are people, though, who cannot escape the world. They have a mission to give back, to help the world. In our previous nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada, we saw that there was a desire to reject the world altogether, to burn away the impurities of the world. Here, this is about this water element, of this healing of the impurities of this world. And so these are people who are very much about healing and soothing the pain of this world, about being a healing force for others. They are all about sharing their wisdom, sharing their knowledge to uplift others. This is a nakshatra that definitely can spend a lot of time away from the world and is very much secretive in nature. Both of these nakshatras of Uttara Bhadrapada and Purva Bhadrapada were represented by the twins, which is showing that there is a duality to this, that these are people who can have a secret side to their personality. And so these are people who can behave one way in public and can behave differently in private. Again, these are people who are highly independent, who have a great need for their space, for their privacy, who have a great need to retreat. Renunciation is a huge part of this nakshatra. And oftentimes this is a nakshatra that is associated with monks, yogis, priests, spiritual leaders, those who have to renounce from the world and have to go on this deep spiritual journey within. So this is strongly connected to this nakshatra. And we talked about in our previous video of Purva Bhadrapada how this energy is dealing with the Kundalini. So in that Purva Bhadrapada we saw a fire-breathing dragon. And here we see the serpent, the dragon that comes from the depths, that is associated with the ocean, with the deep waters. And so this dragon, this serpent, is the Kundalini energy. It is the life force, the spiritual force that sits at the base of the spine and rises during spiritual awakening. So this is a nakshatra that is highly connected to spiritual awakening and mysticism. These can be individuals who are interested in astrology, interested in the occult, interested in magic, people who are able to access magical powers born under this nakshatra. And these are people who are uninterested in the superficial, uninterested in the surface level. They are looking to dive deeper into the mysteries of life. And so again, this is all about diving into the depths, to the deepest extents of the ocean, to the dark places that have not been explored. And so this is about tapping into this deep mystical knowledge. These can make excellent psychics, tarot card readers, people who are very much in tune with this deep awareness. And on a mundane level, this is definitely a nakshatra that can make excellent counselors and psychologists, those who are able to understand the mind in great depth. This nakshatra is also associated with Anatasesha, which is the naga that held up the world on its many hoods. So again, this is talking about the sacrificing nature. These are very heroic people, very noble people who are all about fighting and standing up for a righteous cause. They are all about helping people. And these are people who are very protective within their family as well. They are very family oriented, and those who are often supporting and protecting their family members. These are people who are also highly devoted. They are very much faithful people. Again, oftentimes leaning towards being spiritual or religious. These are people who are very hardworking as well, who possess a ton of passion and determination. However, again, there is a tendency to get into these lethargic states of inactivity. So this is definitely something that needs to be worked on within this nakshatra, is getting out of that comfort zone, becoming more active. These are people who are highly evolved in nature. They can have profound wisdom and are able to see a situation from multiple perspectives. So the symbol of the twins can also be seen as looking from different perspectives at once. These are people who are not one-sided in their thinking. They are open to seeing the many possibilities, from understanding the depths of every situation. This is associated with purity, the cleansing. And so these are people who were born in this world to cleanse away their karma. Again, we're here in the sign of Pisces, which is at the end of the zodiac. Pisces has everything to do with liberation, liberating ourselves from this material entanglement. We talked before about how Rahu is the planet that rules over Aquarius and is associated with keeping us in this material existence. It is our destiny. It is what we have to face in this world that is keeping us trapped in this reoccurring incarnation cycle. And Pisces is about breaking away from this. It is about reaching this higher state of awareness that liberates us from this material prison. And so these are people who are all about their freedom. They are very much, again, about isolation, about having their own space. There can also be an interest in travel that is found in this nakshatra. But for the most part, these are people who are looking to dive into deep information. These are people who are looking to discover deep information that others are unaware of. Sometimes this nakshatra can come across as very apathetic and cold in demeanor. There can be a distance, a detachment that is found here. And oftentimes these are people who are very sensitive, who are very compassionate. However, this is again due to this lethargic nature, getting into this deep depressive state. There is a detachment that is occurring here. And these are people who can be very fierce, like our last nakshatra, but this is less intense here, as we have this healing effect, this cooling effect of the water. These are people who can be fierce when challenged and can be fierce in terms of protecting their loved ones, for standing up for a noble cause. They have very strong conviction here under this nakshatra. And these are people, again, who are very helpful, very supportive, very generous in nature. These are people who are virtuous in their actions, very honest, very sincere people. The challenge that is found within this nakshatra is overcoming the self, overcoming the ego. So sometimes these are people who come into conflict with their ego. These are people who strive to be good in nature, who strive to do what's right, who strive to help, but they can get into situations that are challenging their ego. And these are people who are very sensitive, who can get easily hurt in situations. They can have deep emotional wounding that is occurring within this nakshatra, which again has everything to do with letting go of the ego, letting go of those attachments that are keeping you from reaching this higher evolutionary stage. Another symbol of this nakshatra is the Ouroboros, which we saw had a connection to Shatabishta nakshatra. The Ouroboros were mystical creatures that are a snake eating its own tail, which is representing this self-reflective state, going inward and going into this space of tapping into oneself, tapping into the intuition, the power that exists within. And so these are people who tend to go through cycles within their lives. There is a recreating factor that is occurring here, a transformation. These are people who can go through difficult situations and can run into obstacles where they feel as though their life is not moving forward, and this leads to major breakthroughs and major transformation. So there are reoccurring cycles that are occurring within this nakshatra of these deep, intense experiences of profound change. These are people who are very imaginative, who have a profound level of imagination. They can be very creative people who can create the most incredible works of art. These are people who are very innovative, who are able to think outside the box. They have profound gifts and talents. These are people who can be very skilled in writing, in photography, in poetry, dance, singing. There tends to be a great love of music and singing, and music is actually considered to be one of the remedies of this nakshatra. Those who are feeling depressed under this nakshatra can use music as a healing factor. There can also be a great love of being in the water or being by the water, as again we have this huge connection with the water serpent. And so these are people who can be interested in water sports, who can be interested in being at the beach. There is some correlation with water, and water can be a very healing factor under this nakshatra. It also can be associated with the spiritual gifts and intuition that is found here. Being by the water can increase the psychic abilities that are found under this nakshatra. Another deity that is associated with Uttara Bhadrapada is Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth and blessings. And oftentimes this is a nakshatra that can come into great wealth later in their life. Although this is not all about material wealth. This is about happiness, prosperity. This is a nakshatra that can have a great feeling of emptiness in life and has to find this sense of happiness and inner peace within themselves. When finding this happiness and peace, there is an ability to help others. The stars that are found here are Beta Pegasi and Alpha Andromeda. So this is actually connecting us to the Andromeda galaxy. There's a bridge between Pegasus and Andromeda, which is showing this connection to accessing another world, connecting to another reality, where this is very much in tune with the mystical energies that are found under this nakshatra. The fixed star that is associated here is Algina, which is all about speaking abilities. And so these can be very profound speakers and writers that are born under this nakshatra. Again, this is not a nakshatra that is about the logical aspects of life. This is about the divine intelligence that comes from the heart space. And so these are people who oftentimes can have difficulties in education. They need to learn something that they are deeply connected to, that has meaning, that has purpose behind it. And so these are people who need some kind of emotional or spiritual attachment in their studies. And this can bring them great difficulties oftentimes in their education. They are all about fairness, justice, and peace, and they can come across as very peaceful individuals, very much able to bring about harmony into the space that they're in. These are people who can often come across as indifferent also. And so they have very strong opinions, very strong views, very strong philosophies. Again, this is Pisces that is about liberating oneself from the material entrapments of this world. And so often their belief systems are very different from the rest of society. These are people who can have a great love of nature and animals. They see the beauty and divinity in all things in life. And so there is a strong connection here to wanting to care for animals, wanting to be an advocate for animals. So these are people who can have pets or can be involved in causes that are to raise awareness and to support the lives of animals. There is an ability to empathize with animals and to see them as the same as humans. So these are people who see the life, who see the beauty in all things in existence. Because of the tendency to lethargy, these are people who oftentimes do best with long-term goals or long-term projects. Anything that is requiring speed or that is requiring to just jump into a new situation is very challenging for these individuals. They have a great deal of patience and discipline. They are very skilled at things that require time and restriction. These are people who are filled with wisdom and are able to achieve all of the goals and promises that they have set out to do in life. They oftentimes, though, are very shy and very reserved people, again, needing a lot of time to themselves. These are people, though, who can make excellent leaders and influencers in the world through their profound wisdom and insights. Oftentimes, these cycles that Uttara Bhadrapada people go through has a great deal to do with their understanding, with their knowing of things. Again, this is a nakshatra that tests the ego of the individual. So these are people who can have a feeling that they know something, that they have great knowing and understanding, only to come to the realization that they don't know, that it's actually quite different from the way that they thought it was to begin with. And so there is a lot of change that is occurring within their belief systems. There is a lot that is being unveiled to them through their journey of acquiring deep wisdom and insight. So each nakshatra can be broken down into 4 quarters or 4 padas. So we can take this 13 degree 20-minute nakshatra and break it up into 3 degree 20-minute sections. And the first is falling from 3 degrees 20 minutes till 6 degrees 40 minutes of Pisces. This is falling under a Leo Navamsa. And so these are people who are very courageous and determined. They have high ambitions and are very status conscious. These are people who require a ton of admiration and are very much geared towards achieving in life. These are people who can possess artistic and creative talents and are often very protective and caring towards others. Those who are born within the second quarter or second pada are born under a Virgo Navamsa. This is from 6 degrees 40 minutes till 10 degrees of Pisces. These are people who are highly intellectual. They are very detail-oriented people. They often are very perfectionistic, looking at all of the small details and sometimes getting stuck because of this. These are people who can sometimes ruminate on the small, intricate details, which can prevent them from moving forward in their projects. These are people who make excellent counselors and can do very well in the financial field. These are very business savvy, tech savvy people who are born under this second quarter. Those who are born under the third quarter or third pada of Uttara Bhadrapada are falling under a Libra Navamsa. This is from 10 degrees till 13 degrees 20 minutes of Pisces. These are people who are very balanced. They are all about diplomacy and harmony. They want to make sure that others feel at peace. And so they are always bringing a peaceful and balanced energy wherever they go. They're very loving. They're very harmonious people. They can be very romantic. We often see hopeless romantics under this third quarter. These are people who also are focused on building relationships with others, networking, teaching others, gaining wisdom through others. So these are people who are very interested in the upliftment of people. Those who are born under the fourth quarter or fourth pada are born under a Scorpio Navamsa. This is falling from 13 degrees 20 minutes till 16 degrees 40 minutes of Pisces. This is the most intense part of this nakshatra. These are individuals who often spend a great deal of time in isolation. They're very mysterious in nature, and they possess a profound level of wisdom and insight. These are people who are very much attracted to dark subjects, mystical subjects. They want to unveil the hidden knowledge. These are people who can make excellent researchers, excellent detectives, astrologers, psychics, people who are looking to uncover the depths. Although these are people who sometimes can become overwhelmed and confused by situations. They can get themselves into difficult situations in life, and so there can be many challenges that they have to face.